After weeks of tense ceasefires and a volatile 40-day conflict involving the US, Israel, and Iran, a diplomatic breakthrough has emerged. Talks at Switzerland's Burgenstock resort led to US Vice President J.D. Vance announcing a promising foundation for a final peace deal. This marks a significant shift in the region, as both sides have agreed to key terms. The negotiations were intense, with each party seeking assurances and stability. The world watched closely, aware that the outcome could reshape not only regional dynamics, but also global energy markets. The atmosphere at the resort was charged with anticipation, as diplomats worked tirelessly to bridge gaps and build trust. As a gesture of goodwill, the United States has temporarily suspended sanctions on Iranian oil. This move came after Iran agreed to allow UN nuclear inspectors back into the country, signaling a willingness to cooperate and build trust. The suspension of sanctions is not only a diplomatic win, but also a strategic economic decision. It opens the door for Iran to re-enter global oil markets, which has immediate effects on supply and pricing. The world's energy landscape is shifting, and the ripple effects are being felt across industries and borders. The decision is seen as a positive step toward lasting peace and stability. A major component of the peace deal is the release of $12 billion in frozen Iranian assets. These funds had been locked away due to previous sanctions and diplomatic tensions. Now, with the agreement in place, Iran gains access to these resources, but with strict conditions. President Trump emphasized that the unfrozen funds must be spent exclusively on purchasing food from American farmers. This stipulation ensures that the money is used for humanitarian purposes and supports U.S. agriculture. The release of assets is a tangible sign of progress, fostering hope for further cooperation and economic recovery. Reopening of the critical Strait of Hormuz shipping lane is a pivotal moment in global trade. President Trump declared the strait totally open, which has immediate implications for the flow of oil and goods worldwide. The Strait of Hormuz is responsible for about 20% of the world's oil supply, and its closure during the conflict caused prices to soar. Now, with safe passage guaranteed, shipping and insurance costs drop, and markets stabilize. This development is celebrated by traders, manufacturers, and consumers alike, as it restores confidence and predictability to the global supply chain. The reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and the lifting of sanctions, global crude oil prices have fallen sharply. The so-called war premium, an extra cost added due to fears of supply disruptions, has evaporated. Brent crude dropped below $78 a barrel, and the U.S. standard WTI fell below $74. This rapid decline in prices is a direct response to increased supply and restored confidence in the market. Consumers and businesses benefit from lower energy costs, but experts caution that prices may not return to pre-war lows immediately due to lingering bottlenecks and previous high expenses. Economics, supply, and demand dictate prices. The war removed millions of barrels of oil from the market daily, creating a supply shock. Now, with sanctions lifted, Iran, one of OPEC+'s largest producers, can inject over 3 million barrels per day back into the global economy. This flood of oil reverses the supply shock, stabilizing prices and easing shortages. The deal also guarantees free and open transit through the Strait of Hormuz, allowing tankers to pass without costly detours. These changes dramatically lower shipping and insurance costs, benefiting industries worldwide. Crude oil is the main ingredient for gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. When crude prices fall, the cost of refining these products drops, leading to relief at the pump. In the U.S., average gasoline prices had spiked during the conflict, but now have dropped below $4 a gallon for the first time in months. Diesel, which powers cargo ships and trucks, also sees price reductions, easing pressure on supply chains. Airlines benefit from lower jet fuel costs, which helps stabilize airfares. These changes directly impact consumers, making transportation and goods more affordable. Despite the rapid drop in oil prices, experts warn that sticker shock will persist. U.S. oil refineries face severe capacity bottlenecks, meaning they can only process crude oil into gasoline so quickly. Additionally, businesses that absorbed high energy costs earlier in the year will continue to pass those expenses on to consumers. This means that while prices are lower, the effects of the crisis will ripple through the economy for months to come. Consumers may not see immediate returns to pre-war lows, and industries will need time to adjust and recover. The United Kingdom is facing another wave of political uncertainty following the sudden resignation of Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Starmer, who won a historic landslide victory less than 2 years ago, is now the 6th UK leader to step down in a decade. This high rate of political turnover is unprecedented in modern British history. Analysts point to ongoing public anger over stagnating living standards and ballooning national debt, amplified by global shocks like the COVID-19 pandemic. Divisions over illegal immigration further fractured Starmer's support, making governance increasingly difficult. Historians and political analysts note that Starmer, like his predecessors, failed to address public frustration over stagnating living standards. Since the 2008 financial crash, many Britons have seen little improvement in wages or quality of life. The government's ability to boost public spending was severely restricted by rising national debt and global economic shocks. These challenges, combined with ongoing debates over immigration, created a climate of discontent and instability. The public's demand for change remains strong, and the search for new leadership continues. UK has experienced the highest rate of political turnover in nearly 2 centuries. 6 leaders have resigned in just 10 years, reflecting deep divisions and challenges within the government. This rapid change in leadership has made it difficult to implement long-term policies and maintain stability. Political turnover is often driven by public dissatisfaction, economic struggles, and contentious issues like immigration. The country now faces the task of rebuilding trust and finding a leader who can address the root causes of instability. The world of sports, Lionel Messi has achieved a historic milestone at the FIFA World Cup in Texas. Messi scored 2 late goals to secure a 2-0 victory over Austria, sending Argentina into the knockout stage. With these goals, Messi became the all-time leading scorer in World Cup history, breaking another record in his legendary career. Fans and analysts alike celebrate his achievement, recognizing Messi as one of the greatest football players of all time. His performance inspires millions and cements his legacy in the sport. Knockout stage of the FIFA World Cup is where the competition intensifies. Teams must win to advance, and losing means immediate elimination. Messi's 2 goals not only secured Argentina's place in the last 32, but also showcased his ability to perform under pressure. The defending champions are now focused on retaining their title, and the world watches as the tournament unfolds. The drama and excitement of the knockout stage captivate fans, making every match a must-see event. Argentina, as the defending champions, faces the challenge of maintaining their title. The team's performance is scrutinized by fans and rivals alike. Messi's leadership and skill are crucial in guiding Argentina through tough matches. The pressure is immense, but the team's determination and experience give them an edge. The journey to the final is filled with obstacles, but Argentina's resilience and talent make them strong contenders for another championship. On the sidelines of the BRICS national security advisors, meeting in New Delhi, India and China engaged in high-stakes diplomacy. China's foreign minister, Wang Yi, and India's national security advisor, Ajit Doval, held crucial talks, aiming to resume long-stalled dialogue mechanisms. Both nations emphasized the importance of stable bilateral relations, recognizing that cooperation serves their strategic interests. Discussions focused on trade, finance, and regional stability, with hopes of fostering a more balanced international order. Formal dialogue mechanisms are essential for resolving disputes and promoting cooperation. India and China are working to accelerate the resumption of these frameworks, which allow regular communication and negotiation. The goal is to build trust and address issues that have stalled progress in recent years. Both countries recognize that dialogue is key to maintaining stability and advancing mutual interests. The BRICS grouping provides a platform for these discussions, supporting the rise of the Global South. The term Global South refers to developing and emerging nations, primarily in Latin America, Africa, Asia, and Oceania. China's foreign minister Wang Yi highlighted the collective rise of the Global South, noting that the BRICS grouping is a major vehicle for promoting a balanced international order. These nations seek to protect their rights and interests, advocating for fairer economic and political systems. The rise of the Global South is reshaping global dynamics, challenging traditional power structures, and fostering new alliances. As summer temperatures soar in the Gaza Strip, displaced families are flocking to the Mediterranean shorelines. The sea has become the only outlet for survival, as fresh water is scarce and electricity infrastructure is decimated. Millions remain displaced from their homes, living in tents and damaged buildings. Despite severe pollution warnings and health risks, the sea offers relief from the heat and a place to wash clothes. Humanitarian crisis continues, with families struggling to find safety and comfort. Nearly the entire population of the Gaza Strip remains displaced due to ongoing conflict. Families are crammed into narrow coastal strips, facing suffocating conditions in tents and damaged buildings. The lack of fresh water and electricity makes daily life incredibly challenging. The humanitarian crisis is severe, with public health risks rising as people turn to polluted shorelines for relief. International aid organizations continue to call for urgent assistance, but the situation remains dire. Gaza Strip is experiencing an escalating humanitarian crisis. Displaced persons face critical threats to their health, safety, and well-being. The lack of resources, combined with ongoing conflict, has created a situation where survival is a daily struggle. International attention is focused on providing aid and finding solutions, but the challenges are immense. The crisis highlights the need for peace and stability in the region, as families continue to suffer. U.S. decision to lift oil sanctions on Iran has triggered a massive shift in the global economy. Oil is the fuel for trade, manufacturing, and transport, so a major policy change creates a chain reaction across markets. The immediate impact is felt in energy prices, supply chains, and consumer costs. The ripple effect extends to industries worldwide, influencing everything from shipping to retail. Understanding these dynamics helps explain why global events have such far-reaching consequences. Conflict broke out involving the U.S., Israel, and Iran. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz caused oil prices to skyrocket. Markets added a war premium, an extra cost due to fears of supply disruptions. This premium pushed crude oil prices above $100 per barrel, and at times up to $120. The reopening of the strait and the lifting of sanctions removed this fear, causing prices to fall rapidly. War premium is a clear example of how geopolitical risks influence market behavior. The moment the U.S. lifted its naval blockade and allowed Iran to sell crude oil again, the war premium evaporated. Within days, Brent crude fell below $78 a barrel, and WTI dropped below $74. This immediate price drop reflects restored confidence and increased supply. Consumers and businesses benefit from lower costs, but the effects are not uniform across all sectors. A price drop is a relief for many, but challenges remain in refining and distribution. War created a supply shock by removing millions of barrels of oil from the market daily. Lifting sanctions reverses this shock, allowing Iran to inject over 3 million barrels per day back into the global economy. The deal also guarantees free transit through the Strait of Hormuz, reducing shipping and insurance costs. These changes stabilize prices and restore predictability to the market, benefiting industries and consumers alike. Lower crude oil prices lead to immediate relief at the pump. Gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel prices drop as the cost of refining decreases. In the U.S., average gasoline prices fall below $4 a gallon, providing relief to drivers. Diesel prices also drop, making it cheaper to move goods globally. Airlines benefit from lower jet fuel costs, which helps stabilize airfares. These changes are welcomed by consumers and businesses, easing financial pressures. Retail gas prices in the U.S. had spiked due to the conflict, but now have dropped below $4 a gallon. This reduction is a direct result of increased supply and lower crude prices. Consumers benefit from more affordable transportation, and businesses see reduced shipping costs. The change is significant, but experts warn that prices may not return to pre-war lows immediately due to lingering bottlenecks and previous high expenses. Diesel fuel powers cargo ships, semi-trucks, and trains. Lower diesel prices mean it becomes cheaper to move goods globally, providing relief to supply chains that have been strained since February. The reduction in shipping costs benefits manufacturers, retailers, and consumers. The ripple effect extends across industries, making products more affordable and improving efficiency. Fuel prices track crude oil closely. A drop in oil prices helps airlines stabilize their operating costs, which eventually cools down soaring airfares. The aviation industry welcomes this relief, as it allows for more predictable pricing and improved profitability. Passengers benefit from lower ticket prices, making travel more accessible. The changes in fuel costs have a direct impact on the aviation sector's recovery and growth. While oil prices dropped quickly, experts warn that sticker shock will outlast the fighting. U.S. oil refineries are facing severe capacity bottlenecks, meaning they can only turn crude oil into gasoline so fast. Additionally, businesses that already swallowed massive energy costs earlier this spring will continue to ripple those expenses into consumer goods and groceries through the autumn of 2026. The effects of the crisis linger, and full recovery will take time. U.S. oil refineries are currently facing severe capacity bottlenecks. This means they can only process crude oil into gasoline and other products at a limited rate. The bottlenecks slow down the supply chain, preventing prices from dropping as quickly as they might otherwise. These challenges highlight the importance of infrastructure and investment in maintaining efficient energy production and distribution. Because businesses like farmers and factories already absorbed high energy costs earlier in the year, those expenses continue to ripple into consumer goods and groceries. The impact is felt across the economy, as prices for everyday items remain elevated. The ripple effect demonstrates how interconnected global markets are and how changes in one sector influence others. Major policy shifts in oil markets trigger chain reactions across the global economy. The lifting of sanctions on Iran affects energy prices, supply chains, and consumer costs. Industries must adapt to new realities, and governments work to manage the impacts. The chain reaction is complex, involving multiple sectors and stakeholders. Understanding these dynamics is key to navigating economic challenges. Sanctions are commercial or financial penalties applied by one or more countries against a targeted state, group, or individual. They serve as a form of punishment or political pressure, often involving economic blockades or bans on trading specific goods. Sanctions are a common tool in international diplomacy, used to influence behavior and achieve strategic goals. Frozen assets are funds, bank accounts, or property that a government or financial institution prevents from being moved, spent, or withdrawn. This measure is often used in response to sanctions or legal disputes. The release of frozen assets is a significant step in diplomatic negotiations, providing resources for humanitarian or economic purposes. An interim deal is a temporary or provisional agreement designed to maintain stability while parties negotiate a permanent contract. Interim deals are common in diplomacy, providing a framework for cooperation and progress. They help prevent escalation and create opportunities for lasting solutions. Landslide victory occurs when a political party or candidate wins an overwhelming majority of votes or seats in an election. This result reflects strong public support and often leads to significant changes in government. Landslide victories can reshape political landscapes and influence policy direction. Stagnating living standards refer to a situation where the general quality of life, wages, and economic well-being of the population fails to grow or improve over a long period. This issue is often linked to economic crises, rising debt, and limited government spending. Addressing stagnation is a major challenge for policymakers. Political turnover is the rate at which government leaders or administrations change or are replaced. High turnover can indicate instability, public dissatisfaction, or deep divisions within a country. It challenges continuity and makes long-term policy implementation difficult. The knockout stage in sports tournaments is where the losing team is immediately eliminated, leaving only winners to advance. This format increases competition and drama, as every match is decisive. The knockout stage is a highlight of events like the FIFA World Cup, drawing intense attention from fans. Defending champions are the team or athlete that won the previous iteration of a tournament and are playing to keep their title. The pressure is high, and expectations are elevated. Defending champions often face tough competition and must prove their abilities once again. Bilateral relations refer to the political, economic, and cultural relationships conducted between two sovereign nations. These relationships are crucial for trade, security, and cooperation. Strong bilateral relations help maintain stability and foster mutual benefits. Dialogue mechanisms are formally established frameworks, meetings, or channels where governments can regularly talk, negotiate, and resolve disputes. These mechanisms are essential for maintaining peace and addressing issues. They provide structure and consistency to diplomatic efforts. The Global South is a term used to describe developing, emerging, or lower-income nations, primarily located in Latin America, Africa, Asia, and Oceania. These countries are increasingly influential in global affairs, advocating for fairer economic and political systems. The rise of the Global South is reshaping international relations and power dynamics. According to the economic ripple effects of the U.S. lifting oil sanctions on Iran, what was the primary reason international crude oil prices fell below $78 a barrel after the peace memorandum? A. Global demand for gasoline and diesel fuel suddenly experienced a massive, permanent decline. B. The war premium evaporated as the critical Strait of Hormuz shipping lane reopened, and millions of barrels of Iranian oil could safely return to the market. C. Major Asian buyers like China and India completely stopped purchasing crude oil from Middle Eastern nations. D. U.S. domestic oil refineries unexpectedly doubled their capacity overnight, eliminating all production bottlenecks. Humanitarian crisis is an event or series of events that represents a critical threat to the health, safety, security, or well-being of a large community or significant group of people. These crises require urgent intervention and support from international organizations. The situation in Gaza is a stark example of a humanitarian crisis, with millions affected by conflict and displacement.